Morning, everyone. I'm really tired. I'm really tired. My name is Chris Gore from Film Threat. I will be waking up during the show. Today, on the Friday Film Threat Livecast, we're talking about Shazam, The Fury of the Gods. In addition, we're going to go over The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 3. And then also be talking about a movie that I saw that's in theaters called Champions. You need to check out Champions. Alan Ing is also here. All sorts of fun stuff today. Let's get things started. Let's get things kicked off as I continue to wake up. Because why? Because I am very, very pre-coffee at the moment.
Hey,
Alan, how's it going, man?
I'm as tired as you are, but
Well,
I think you're worse off than I am. But
well, you saw two movies back to back.
yeah,
What,
I
what
didn't.
did you
I was
see?
in Burbank the entire evening for 4 hours, well over 4 hours, and then didn't get home until 1, and then didn't fall asleep till 2. So I'm exhausted.
Well, it'll be a fun show today in spite of
Yeah.
that. So, and also some milestones today. Or this week, we hit 69,000 subs.
Yes, thank you to everyone who's a subscriber.
And to our new subscribers, get ready, buckle up. Let's do this. All right, let's see who's in the chat before we get started. Toxic Waltz N8 says 69,000 subs hit, or did I miss it hitting on Sunday? It hit like Tuesday night, like Wednesday morning early.
Yes, Sunday after the Oscar thing, we were like 150 off.
It was great. It was great.
Yeah,
The Oscar thing was great. It's so
Yeah.
funny. Now it's over. We don't have to talk about the Oscars at all
Yeah,
for a long
and
time.
unfortunately, there's nothing to talk about for the next year.
Well, that's
about
true.
the Oscars.
That's true. Shuxy says starting this late is unacceptable. I demand Alan feet pics as compensation. All right. And then Shuxy actually sends in $2 and says, Chris is pre-hair of the dog today. Oh my God.
By the way, I started a bunch of Shazam comments. You probably want to skip those until we get into Shazam.
Okay, yeah. I will not read the Shazam comments until after Alan and I give our thoughts. We both saw the movie last night in Burbank.
Yeah.
Goober says, sup, movie people. And Leo Cody says, happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm wearing green, as you can tell. We're both wearing green. Well, these are both like Film Threat t-shirts that happen to be green. So that's what I'll be wearing today.
You white people will celebrate anything, really.
To me, it's an excuse to drink.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, although I woke up this morning, there's a weird thing. Flipped on the, I don't know. I have like a Fire TV. It's just the Fire TV stick is just to like get different apps to watch stuff. And they had this thing, and it was like a little ad for March Madness, and it said, watch all the men's games. And I'm like, are there non-men March Madness games? I'm being serious. Why would they say see all the men's games? March Madness, and it had like basketball and whatever little graphic. It confused me for a second because I'm like, what other than, is there a March Madness? Is there a women's basketball March Madness?
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a championship that works the same way that unfortunately no one watches, but I'm not. It doesn't sound like it's even a virtue signal.
Right. It's just like, I just don't know why they did that. I was confused, but it is St. Patrick's Day. I will be going out later, maybe even sooner than later at this stage. Lori Ormond has become a new YouTube member. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Special Agent Bill Maxwell, A24 cleaned up. That was a first for them.
That's actually a first for any studio to have swept all the major categories.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. CD Stein 69 says, yes, women's tournament started today too. Okay, well then I am just uninformed is what it is.
Or it speaks to the popularity of women's March Madness. I mean, sadly.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, a lot of Shazam comments here. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until later to do that. So let's get things started. Let's go, Alan. Let's talk about Shazam: Fury of the Gods. This is the sequel to Shazam. Billy Batson and all of his uh, foster siblings are back, and they're now the Shazamily, and they do everything together. If there's some superheroing that has to be done in Philadelphia, it only happens if all the entire family is there. You had an opening scene where, of course, the villains led by Helen Mirren, Lucy Liu, and another a young actress. I don't know. It's a reveal in the movie, but there's three women that want to basically bring their realm back to Earth. But in order to do that, it's going to destroy pieces of Earth. So they get the staff, they reassemble it. They now have the power. It all seems very much like the plot, if I say it out loud, which is pretty dumb. It sounds like a cartoon show from Saturday morning. By Saturday morning, I mean, that's when we used to watch cartoon shows when you couldn't just access anything anytime.
Yeah. Well, the staff was the one from the first movie, which
right.
I forgot. I didn't.
Right. Yeah.
Completely forgot it when the movie started.
Well, they remind you with a flashback later that he broke it in half. He broke the staff in half. Now that it's been easily reassembled, it now has the power, right? So, what do we want to say about Shazam: Fury of the Gods? I'll say this. I was not super excited about seeing this. It's in the middle of, like, will the character of, I guess they're just calling him, they make a point of saying this in the movie, he needs a superhero name, right? Because everyone's giving themselves all the kids are giving themselves cute, nicknames. One of the nicknames is Captain Every Power. Not very creative, but he doesn't have one. They basically just say you're just Shazam. That's who you are, which is kind of weird because if he just says Shazam all the time as his name, it's sort of illogical. In any case, here are my thoughts on this, because after a while it gets so convoluted, and we'll go into specifics about the convoluted stuff involving unicorns and dragons and all these creatures that are unleashed into this new world that must be fought, right? It just gets over the top ridiculous, where I'm thinking, like, did we see people get killed on screen? There are people that fall from a great height, and I'm like, did they die? It's the movie sort of brushes off any real peril. It feels like a family movie. It 100% is a family movie. This is a movie for kids. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I think you are 100% correct. This is not your typical adult themed superhero film. It's for kids.
I mean, and there's some scenes in this high school where it just, like, this is just a CW show. It felt very CW, very geared towards young adults. All the sort of cliches of you're in high school and you're being bullied, and all the things that kind of come with that. I don't know. The tone of this kind of just like, and it felt more like a kid's movie than the first one. The first one felt like this is a genuine, just a solid, fun superhero movie, low expectations, and it's fine. And this one just felt they leaned way more into that this is for children, and which is fine. I mean, there is some standout moments. The one of those involving Skittles, I thought that was entertaining. But my overall sort of impression of it is this is for kids. It's going to appeal to kids. Will it appeal to families? I'm not sure, because there's not much of an appeal to adults. I don't want to get into spoilers at the beginning of the conversation here. We will do that later, and you will be warned. But Alan, what are your sort of first impressions of Shazam: Fury of the Gods.
Yeah, let me pull up one comment here that kind of sums it up.
Okay.
From Mega YouTube 99, Shazam 2 is better than the past 4 MCU films, and that is 100% correct.
Yeah.
This was the Ant-Man movie I wish we had gotten. The general impression was it was okay. I didn't hate this movie. I sat through it without feeling overly bored. In fact, I don't think there's things fundamentally wrong. And if you take it from the perspective that this skews younger, then you're going to be fine. I mean, quite frankly, the first one was the same way. It's about these kids who get superpowers, and now these kids, continue to have their superpowers and have to take on these ancient warriors. I think there are things that I could really nitpick and rant about the movie, but fundamentally, it's like if I talk to my daughter, it's like, do you really want to see this movie? And she's like, yeah, because she really liked the first one, and and I kept thinking, I'm not sure if she's gonna like this one because I think maybe she's gotten a little more sophisticated, and after seeing Ant-Man, I think she's getting tired of this stuff. But I think fundamentally, it's an okay movie, and you could do a whole lot worse. And you hate saying that this is a Warner Brothers movie. A lot of money has been pumped into this, and to have to kind of say, yeah, it's okay, is just it's sad that this is where superhero films are today.
No, I agree. It's like this movie is very okay. It's very mid-level.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. I don't think there's anything in it that's offensive necessarily.
Yeah, and regarding comic book lore, we could nitpick it to death, but I mean, quite frankly, the only thing I knew of Captain Marvel and Shazam was the 70s TV show, and I don't think that was hardly representative of the comic books. And so, right. And I don't think the majority of people who will see this movie would have ever read a Captain Marvel Shazam comic book.
Well, I'll say this. I recognize, because I go obviously to see, we have our movie meetup group, right? And there's like 12 of us that all go to see the movies every week. And about half the people were like, that was fun. That was fun. Mm-hmm. I had a good time. I thought it was fine. And then I really didn't like it. I really think it's superhero fatigue. Although I will acknowledge that, yeah, it was better than, the last 4 Marvel movies, mainly because it did what a movie of this type should be doing is, people, you've got average people, that have superpowers that now have to use it for good. And there are mm-hmm. moral questions, right? Yeah. Can we defeat, the villain? Can we save the people? There's a scene which I actually thought was fairly decent at the beginning, the scene at the bridge when the bridge is about to fall, and they try to save all these people on the bridge, and they save all these people, but the bridge collapses. They can't stop that from happening. So even though they've got superpowers, they can still be defeated just because they're a bunch of kids. I will say this. I really like Zachary Levi, in real life. I like who he is as a person. You've seen him in interviews. He hardly says anything he's not one of those virtue signaling celebrities, right? He rarely gaffes in an interview, but
although he went after Pfizer not too long ago. So
I don't mind that. Mind that. He was just being honest. He was going against the grain with his own opinion. I don't have an issue with that. But I will say this, it got so tired of I'm just a kid. I'm a kid, but in an adult body. And then the guy, Billy Batson, who plays him non-Shazammed, so to speak.
I mean, 25-year-old Billy Batson.
Yeah, 25-year-old Billy Batson doesn't even act like a kid. So it's is he only I'm just a kid when he's in the adult body? It's just weird now.
Because it didn't work in the first movie, and it didn't work in the first movie, and it didn't work in this one. The two actors are completely different in terms of attitude, the way they carry themselves. This is again, it's okay, but there are things that just the writing is very cringy, especially that first opening family scene. Mm-hmm. The dialogue is very, very CW. the jokes. Let me speak to the jokes. They just the writers must have just written the first funny thing that came to their head and then moved on. You've got to work some of these jokes. They're very childish, not childish. They're very amateurish. You could have hired some comedians and wrote some better jokes that would have just killed in this, and they didn't. And so writing, the narrative is basically the only thing that really saves this movie, and it barely does that.
Yeah, I just thought there's so many things about it that Zachary Levi take his performance as Shazam, I guess we're calling him now.
Mm-hmm.
It was always Captain Marvel. It was always Captain Marvel to me, whatever. But the performance is just it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work for me. I don't know what it is. It's like I'm a kid, and then you see him and it's like I even forgot, like, well, who are they? Who is so and so? Because when they go into their Shazam form, they're an adult version. I couldn't keep track of like which kid was what. So,
well, I mean, I figured it out.
yeah. Well, you figured it out later.
Let me speak to that. Let me speak to the diversity and the LGBT thing here. It's complete virtue signaling, and I'll say it this way: the diversity doesn't matter. It has no consequence to the story. The LGBT reveal of little Pedro, fine, but zero consequence to the entire movie. The LGBT thing happens in 3 seconds and two times for a total of 3 seconds, which means you can edit those things out for China. The diverse, it's like you're in the movie, halfway through someone just says, "Hey, I'm gay," and then the movie just continues. That's the impact. That's the LGBT virtue signaling impact of this moment. And that, again, this is just wasted time, because if you're going to reveal that a character is gay, do something with it. Make it somehow a part of his character. But it's just, he literally just says, "I'm gay." Everyone says, "Yeah," and then it goes on. Zero consequence. And the same thing, and I'll just say again, same thing with the diversity. You have the Asian character, the Latino characters, the Black characters. You could mix and match the races, and you would still have the exact same story. It has zero impact on the overall story. And this is the thing that frustrates me most about diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's all about the skin color of the people on the screen, and not about the cultural aspects of that skin color. What do I know about Asian culture after this? What do I know about Black culture? What do I know about Latino culture? Having seen this movie, I know zero. What do I know about LGBT culture? I know zero about it. It's just, we're just throwing it up there as skin color.
Well, there are literally like 2 moments with where the character Pedro, basically, there are 2 moments where they kind of deal with him being gay. Both of those moments are played for a joke.
Yeah, so, and literally 3 seconds long total.
Yeah. It both moments are played for a joke, and I actually thought it was pretty funny. I'm like, all right, well, it was funny. It didn't stand out where sometimes there are moments like that, and they just seem like shoehorned, or like we have to hit the checkbox. It's like, all right, well, that was one of the funnier moments of the film, was his reveal of coming out as gay, and everybody's kind of just like, yeah, we all know, like, no big deal.
Yeah, but again, you can cut that out, and it has zero impact on the entire story.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it'll be cut for countries outside, just countries that may have an issue with that. It's gonna 100% get cut. But I guess the thing about this, and there are 2 post-credit scenes, which we'll let you know when we're gonna talk any spoilers. We're not quite to spoilers.
I will say one of them, I have no clue what's going on. As a non-DC fan, I have no clue what happened.
Look, this is it's almost like this is like a superhero movie from 5 years ago, right? Like, it just, it's fine. What are the big consequences for the universe? We'll see. Who knows?
Yeah, we need to talk about that in spoilers. I have some questions.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
when we get to that. I don't know that anyone even cares about spoilers. And the other thing about it, like what we know is coming from the DC cinematic universe, do the events in this movie even matter? I'll tell you this. So, they show 20 minutes of trailers at the AMC, which I actually don't mind. I actually don't mind it because it gives me time to get popcorn, hit the bathroom before the film starts, like get settled in, and there's new trailers. The trailer to The Flash got a bigger reaction than anything that happened in Shazam Fury of the Gods. Anything. It was that trailer, people were gasping and cheering. And, when you see Michael Keaton Batman and like that trailer, people went nuts. And then during the movie, there was, I would say, something of a tepid reaction.
Yeah.
Was
Well,
that
even
your
the
experience?
cameo that we can't talk about until spoilers did not get the reaction I thought it would get.
Well, the cameo that we're going to talk about in a minute is, it's in the it's in the commercials they're playing on television right now.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah. Then they lost an opportunity there.
Well, they messed up, but it makes them feel desperate that they have to put that in. And now, so is every DC movie just going to like remind you of another better DC movie? Is that what they're going to do with this? So let's do this. Let's pivot. We're going to go to comments and then we'll talk spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is our non-spoiler review. So let's wrap it up real quick. Alan, would you recommend Shazam Fury of the Gods?
If you are looking to see a movie this weekend and don't care, yes.
Well, I have a better movie that you should see this weekend, which is called Champions, and I'm going to talk about it after we wrap up our conversation here, but we still have a lot of things to discuss. I was disappointed. I thought it was weak. And I think a lot of that speaks to just being fatigued of the sameness of so many superhero movies.
Yeah. Well, let me say this. After seeing Ant-Man, this movie looks really good. And I will say this. Everything that I complained about Ant-Man, if you go back to our Ant-Man review, I had a lot of complaints about it. This movie seemed to have solved it. And the biggest one was it took place on Earth, for crying out loud. They were not in some wacky universe. So there was a level of seriousness and depth, even though you had this kind of weird family dynamic going on. It wasn't completely CG, mostly, but wasn't completely. And so, again, after seeing Ant-Man, this movie is a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, but I didn't enjoy myself because I just felt like I've seen this in a bunch of other movies,
and that's been DC's problem for a very long time.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, all right, let's pivot and we'll go to comments here real quick. But I want to say we've got about 400 people watching live. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Our next goal is to get to 100,000, so let's do it.
Film Threat.
Okay.
Wow.
Let's go to your comments here. We got a lot of them. Okay, let's start here. MK Solid 82 for $4.99. They asked Spielberg about casting someone who looks like Short Round for Indy. You could tell he was annoyed. He said it was written in the script. So that's
for
weird.
the recent Indy?
Yeah. Latino Slant. Hey, Paulie says nerds. Andrew Montpetit says, if you don't care what you see Shazam. Alan's compelling recommendation.
I mean, look, sometimes you're bored and you want to go out and you want to sit in a nice dark theater. Hey, Shazam.
There you go.
You could do worse, believe me.
Selix for $29.99 of something. A currency I'm not aware. Thank you for movie education. I enjoy your show most of all. You're focused on movies instead of it focused on movies education instead of anti-woke rhetoric. That gets boring. Well, yeah, it does. I mean, that question comes up, so we address it, but it shouldn't. I don't think it should be the focus. Was it better than Black Adam? Can I just say this? No. The best part of Black Adam for me was the
Hawkman.
Justice Society.
Yeah, Hawkman and Doctor
Hawkman
Strange.
Hawkman and Dr. Fate. Hawkman and Dr. Fate were great.
Yeah.
And they're, so it was not better than Black Adam. Black Adam, but Black Adam was sort of weird and kind of all over the place, although surprisingly had enjoyable bits in it. But no, it's not better than Black Adam.
But not by much.
Really. Right, for sure. Wait, I had it up here.
Yeah.
Bill S. Preston Esquire says, I understand Alan's point, but what I like about blind casting is that the hero can be of whatever ethnicity and it doesn't matter. Yeah. I actually did the diversity didn't bother me at all. I thought they were all likable characters.
Yeah, but I think to my point, it's forced diversity. They did it because they had to do it, as opposed to feeling organic in any way.
Right. Aaron Taylor says they're adopted. Of course they have no culture. So there you go. John Mewald says, I always thought Shazam was an interesting character, but not many great stories. He is pure magic, named after a wizard with the wisdom of Solomon, power of Zeus, etc. Lots of potential. Yeah, I think the thing that bugged me after a while is it felt like there were no stakes because everything was handled comedically and with a sort of levity, right? Like it just didn't. You know what I mean?
No, I thought there were stakes. I mean, when you had the seed growing into the plant and terror reigning through Philadelphia, I don't know. I like I said, I think the narrative is the best thing about the movie. Everything else seems second rate.
Yeah.
But I did get the stakes. Yeah.
Here we go. Grady Huckabee for 5. Hey, Grady, thank you so much. Jack Dylan Grazer, who plays Freddy. Adam Brody should have been Shazam. I like Levy, but those two actors have a lot of charm and feel like the same person. Interesting. Mike MC Wong saw Spinning Gold with Alan last night. It was awesome. Followed that up with Zhang Yimou's Full River Red, a bit long with too many twists. Not sure I like their take on the origins of the poem. That is playing near me. I may go see that this weekend. Full River Red.
Yeah. So Mike and I split up like right after the movie, so I can go see Shazam and he can see Full River Red.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Shuxy says, I would love to be a part of the movie going group, but then I'd have to live in California. Yeah, well, we all make sacrifices. Solomon Thornton says, I remember watching the 1970s Captain Marvel TV show as a kid. The movie would have been better if they had Black Adam. Yeah, like real stakes, or even like some character dying or something. I don't know. Just
we'll get into spoilers on that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I will say this. There is a Solomon Thornton. There's a cameo. The actor who played Billy Batson in the 1970s show is in a quick scene in the movie. He's one of the citizens of the city in the background, and he's wearing the same shirt he wore in the show, which is this red and yellow shirt.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. He looks so old. Oh, I noticed it right away. I was sitting next to Dante James, and I was just like, what? So yeah, we both kind of laughed about it. So there you go. In fact, I should invite Dante to the stream. Let's go through chat questions here and comments.
Mm-hmm.
So more of this. Shazam 2, unless you love the first one, I cannot recommend it. It wasn't a waste of time, but it wasn't great. I can give it a 2 out of 5, no more, says Alan Horkin. Look, I'm sorry that the review seems a little confused. It's just, I'll say this. It's really fun to talk about movies you love, like movies that are really great. Like I could go on and on. like RRR. Or it's really fun also to talk about movies that are bad, just like awful, terrible movies. Is kind of fun to talk about it. When there's a movie that's kind of like this, like a sort of mid-level movie, it's not as fun to discuss.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, that part was good, but it was kind of just, I wasn't, it's when it's sort of mid-level, when it's kind of forgettable. I think I forgot everything when I walked out of the theater. Like, it's not as even fun to discuss.
Yeah. I mean, how's this for a quote? If I was forced to see it again, I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it just speaks. It's not fundamentally bad. I don't hate this movie. And if my daughter wants to see it, I'll take her to see it. But that's pretty much the only way I'll see this movie again.
Right. So, all right. Well, then Shucksy says Alan gives it a 6 out of 9. Want Biscuits has a couple comments here. Definitely interested in Shazam review. Wanting to see it, but if it sucks, nope. Theaters are too expensive to waste money on crap movies. And then he goes on to say, hate to hear this review. I had higher hopes after the first one was so good and fun, but sequels normally are downturns. Oh, well. It's not completely dismissible. It's not completely dismissible. I just think that all of us had higher hopes, and it just seems that the I'm just a kid with superpowers. I'm just going to act like a kid. Like, it gets so forced. It just gets annoying.
Yeah. You know what it is? These superhero movies, these action movies that we've been reviewing lately, you want to walk away feeling like, hey, that movie was great because remember this. You want to be talking about it afterwards, that there's some action set piece that just blew your mind, or there's some emotional moment that just really gripped you. And it's just not in this movie. I mean, I'm John Wick. I'll go back to John Wick. There are 3 action sequences in this movie that I still replay over and over in my head because of how amazing it was. It's like I didn't pay money to see it, but I will. But when I walked out of John Wick 3, I got to carry away these great memories of that movie. And unfortunately, this one just doesn't have that.
Well, I can't wait to see John Wick 3. We're seeing it next week.
John Wick 4.
John Wick 4. What am I saying? John Wick 3. John Wick 4, seeing it next Thursday. And I cannot wait to see it with a crowd.
Yeah.
In a crowded theater.
In fact, everyone, you have. I was in a theater full of critics, and we were screaming and hooting, and we had a great time. And these are critics who don't do that normally in screenings.
Yeah. It's seeing it with a crowd is just going to be insane.
Yeah.
There's like they're like applause breaks where just like the whole audience will like erupt in applause. Are you drinking a Pepsi this early in the morning?
Yeah, because I'm not a coffee drinker.
Oh, well, fair enough. You got to get your caffeine. Toxic Waltz N8 says, I enjoyed the first Shazam, but what's the point of supporting a sequel to a dead universe?
We'll talk about that in spoilers.
We'll talk about that in spoilers for sure. It may not be 100% dead. So there you go. Zavin, who's a member, says, I bet Shazam did not talk down to the audience with bad ant analogies. Yeah, that didn't happen.
Yep.
I mean, that's what's so weird is like, as much as this movie is sort of like meh, it does what a superhero movie is supposed to do. There are acts of heroism. There are morality. There are choices that must be made, moral decisions. There's like, it just sort of like, well, you checked off all the boxes of what should be like a good superhero film, right? It checks all of those boxes, but there's something about it that just felt kind of
Yeah. Well, I think also to that point is the lecturing thing, like the communism. You don't want to go into a movie being lectured to, and fortunately Shazam doesn't do that.
Yeah, this movie does not do that. There's no sort of like lecturing. It's fine. I mean, you could read into stuff. You could get like, but it's like,
yeah, I'll give you one. What was the race of all the people who died in this movie?
Oh, I know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess that is the thing is this. I don't notice it a lot of times. I'm just like, oh, and then someone will point out, it's like, oh, I guess so, but like it didn't bug me.
I know it's very nitpicky, and unless you're, if you're ensconced in all this conversation, you just notice these things. I will say, when I got the press release for James Gunn directing Superman Legacy, and the quote in that press release that I found interesting, again, and it's been said already, it was referred to as truth, justice, and the American way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was in the press release.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, they're not, you would think they'd pull that out if they were not serious about it.
Okay. Gun Ho Mac says Shazam won't make 69 million. The current estimates for Shazam is around 38 million. That's the current estimate for opening weekend.
Yeah, I think I heard it cost 100 million to make.
Which
so
means
the bar is somewhat low, but yeah, that's it's gonna struggle.
I think the thing that I had an issue with most of all is the fact that it felt like a CW show. It just got, because the whole thing is that it was really Billy Batson's story, the first movie, and then his family was sort of an add-on at the end, and that was fun, And now it's like you've got the family from the beginning, and I'm not sure that they got it right. But yeah, I don't think it's going to make 69 million. Oddly. Oh wow. Andy comes in. Andy with 1,000
Argentinian pesos.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's what that is.
1,000 Argentinian pesos. What does that equal?
Do you want me to reveal the conversion?
Yeah, let's reveal the conversion. And first of all, Andy, thank you so much. I don't care.
Thank you. I know the number looks amazing. It's $5.
Well, thank you very much. We'll take 1,000.
Yeah, we'll take 1,000.
Appreciate that. Only thing that could push me to watch Flash is Muschietti, but I'm not paying tickets because I'm sure it's another woke movie with a conservative Batman, Bateman. So Flash and Shazam are stream/torrent only. I hear you. I like the theatrical experience. I like Paul Chato did a really good video recently about the death of shared experiences. I love the shared experience of seeing a movie because I have my opinion, but I want to know what other people thought. And there were people within our movie meetup group that thought the movie was fun. I think it's also because like so much of stuff, our senses have been dulled. So many movies have been like not great or below average that when you see something like that is inoffensive and just fun and like a traditional superhero movie, that it stands out. I think that's why I'd say about half of the people in our group thought, hey, that was kind of fun. But I think everyone's expectation was super low.
Which would, again, I can't wait till everyone sees John Wick 4 next week.
John Wick 4.
See it Thursday night and come back and let's talk about it.
Yeah, well, we should talk. We're going to talk spoilers a week from today for John Wick 4 because we have to. And I'm dying to see it again just because I just really want to see it with an audience. So let's see. We've got non-Shazam related comments. We'll get to those. Rid Ibn Muhammad said they destroyed the original comic book, making Captain Marvel, aka Shazam, a child. When he is Shazam is absurd. Original comic, he became an adult version of himself. So yeah, it's interesting. Look, I used to watch that show when I was a kid. It was the Shazam show.
Yeah, Shazam and ISIS.
And the ISIS show. Yeah, that was a show.
Oh, that was
and they would drive around in this like van. No, it wasn't a van. It was a motorhome.
Yeah,
they had this motorhome and there was the old man, and Billy Batson always had to like, well, I'm going to turn into Shazam. And basically he would do things like move a rock or like save a person. It wasn't like they didn't really have a lot of money for special effects. So the stuff that Captain Marvel did were just pretty cheesy. I have to move this rock so we can get on our way down the road.
And then he went to some room, I think, where he talked to all the Greek gods.
Yeah.
And they gave him wisdom and the like.
You would think that Captain Marvel, Shazam in this movie just seems even more childish than the last movie. It doesn't, and it's grating. It gets tiresome. So, no sardines for you for 10,000.
10,000 Chilean pesos.
Says this is like $3, more like $11, but the point still stands. I will take 10,000.
No, it's actually $12. Thank you.
That's awesome. No sardines for you. We'll take it. Let's see. Aaron Taylor says, first Shazam provided something DC didn't have, which was fun. Shazam 2 has no hole to fill. It is the last gasp from the DCEU's corpse. No, I think the last gasp is going to be Aquaman 2, which we hear is terrible. Terrible. So, yeah. Zavin says, I miss Billy Batson from Kingdom Come. Is James Gunn going to make Kingdom Come? I would watch that. I really wish he would just make Kingdom Come, and that would be, the culmination of the DC universe would be kind of a Kingdom Come type of story.
Right.
That seems like it would be great.
Well, I mean, he's mentioned being able to you could still do alternate universes like Joker and I can't remember the other one. And my understanding, Kingdom Come has an older Superman in it, which could mean you could bring Henry Cavill back.
They should have done that. They just should have said,
or they could do it. They still could do it.
We're going to reboot everything. We're just going to make Kingdom Come, and that's going to kind of be the tone.
Or you just make this a one-off,
You could do that also. Let's see. Rida Ibn Muhammad says, I watched Shazam, Fury of the Gods. I fell asleep in the middle. Tired basic plot, overacting. The immaturity has increased even though the characters are older. Yeah, they just sort of leaned into that because they must have thought that people like the fact that he's kind of immature. Mm-hmm. It just, to me, it gets tired.
I mean, because frankly, you're watching Zach Levi. There's no getting around that, and to me that was the crossover that was hard to make at that point. It's just Zach Levi acting like a kid.
Yeah. Manny Lamont for 5. What? Only 5, not 10,000? I'm kidding. Appreciate that. Thank you. I do kind of light up when I see this. I don't know what that currency is. 10,000 of what? Funny. Remember old school Masters of the Universe? Is that Motu? Masters of the Universe. In that old Filmation cartoon, everyone moved around like they were constipated.
That limited animation, yeah.
Yeah, well, the limited animation, it didn't bother me. I love that stuff. The Filmation, it got bad, but I really liked there was a show that was the Flash Gordon show. And I loved that. I thought it was great. The Flash Gordon cartoon. Do you remember that from Filmation? No one remembers this.
Barely.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think it's time. We have some super chats and questions that aren't related to Shazam: Fury of the Gods. We're going to get to those at the end as we pivot away. But let's get into spoilers. Wait, we should change that.
Yeah.
So people know. I don't want anyone to be surprised. I got it, Alan.
Okay.
Okay. Hang on. All right, we're doing this in real time.
Happening. Yeah. Because we used to have a graphic for that.
Somewhere. All right, here we go. Now we're talking, we're fully in spoilers. If you don't want anything to get spoiled, I'm going to give you a count. 3, 2, 1. Billy Batson dies at the end. He dies at the end. He, in quotes, dies at the end. And of course,
quite frankly, I think it would have been a greater movie
if it did that.
Died at the end.
So he dies at the end, and then almost immediately is resurrected with a little help from
Henry Cavill Superman.
No,
It's,
from Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman shows up, and Gal Gadot she embodies that character.
mhm.
And of course, Billy Batson has kind of a crush on Wonder Woman, which is a little ridiculous and stupid. So this is like, I wouldn't say this is the post-credit scene, but this is the ending of the movie. It just felt very disingenuous because of the fact that this is very much a family movie. It's very CW in its tone. To kind of kill him off for, I don't even know how long was he dead, a couple minutes tops.
Into the film, yeah.
And it was just like, all right, none of us believed he was dead anyways. I just thought I thought that part did not work for me. And then
they should have kept him dead.
Wonder Woman actually shows up earlier in the movie in a dream. Billy Batson's, wakes up from a dream that he's on a date with Wonder Woman, and you see Gal Gadot's body, but you never see her face. And then when you see the face, it's the head of the Wizard. That actor plays the Wizard. I forget his name, but he's really good. He's great. He's really good.
Yeah. Okay. So
what are your thoughts?
They should have kept him dead. We keep talking about this. If you're going to kill a superhero, make it mean something. And in this movie, it meant something for Billy to have died in the way that he did. And to have kind of given the powers back to his brothers and sisters. He sacrificed himself for his family. And for Philadelphia. To me, that's the way you send off a hero, especially if you know that the franchise is dead and it's not going to go anywhere. To me, this was a great death, and then they ruined it by bringing him back to life.
I don't think that anyone in the audience believed that they would have killed off the character anyways. Yeah, so it felt very disingenuous to me.
Yeah, but my point is they did it right in terms of killing him, and then they did. And then
but let's talk about Wonder Woman. She's fine. My feeling is if something like this were happening in a city in Philadelphia, she would have showed up. Like all this stuff happens, like there is a world of superheroes, right? Okay. Black Adam exists. The Justice Society exists. Like, Superman is presumably still in this world. Wouldn't they be alerted to what's happening in Philadelphia? You just got to think like, or are they off on their own adventures? Does Superman sleep for 8 hours a day? Like a normal human?
I would imagine it'd be more. It'd be longer.
Who knows? But
he expels so much energy. Yeah.
Yeah. The death felt very disingenuous, and there are 2 post-credit scenes. What's funny is, so I gave the spoiler warning. We have the spoilers on the little thing at the bottom, and we've literally lost nobody. No one has left.
In fact, I think we've gained.
I think we've got like 550 people watching live. And nobody seems to care about spoilers. Although maybe you already saw it. Maybe you saw it last night.
Okay, so let me give you a theory, and see what you think. But it felt like the ending and the 2 post-credit scenes were a James Gunn thing. That they weren't planned. Which gives the indication that Shazam could go on, and that maybe they did kill him off. But maybe James Gunn wants to continue on with this series. Because you definitely get a sense that it's going to continue on with the first post-credit. And then the third one, I have no clue what any of that was. I don't know DC, and so I don't know what that was and why people were freaking out about it.
Let's get to the post-credit scene. So there's 2 post-credit scenes. The first one, you see characters from Peacemaker. These are the characters who work for Amanda Waller. And these 2 characters, they're sort of like, they're having just inconsequential conversation, and they approach Shazam about joining the Justice Society. He thinks he's being recruited into the Justice League, but it's the Justice Society. The whole thing is a joke. So does this mean the Justice Society is going to exist in the new James Gunniverse, and will it include Shazam? But it's also, if you haven't watched Peacemaker, and I believe I did not watch I didn't watch Peacemaker
or Suicide Squad.
I did see the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, but both those characters are in both series and movies.
Right. But like, I feel like you might be confused, but so he's being recruited into the Justice Society. There is a second post-credit scene at the very, very end, and it's the villain from the first movie being, he's recruited by this caterpillar character, which was also in the last movie, and he's just sort of sick of him now. It's like, you keep talking about these big grand plans, nothing's in. I thought that was kind of funny. Both post-credit scenes were kind of a fun goof, but what does it matter if everything's going to be reset? And how will it be reset? Is Shazam still going to be a part of things going forward? It's very confusing. And what I think needs to happen is there needs to be almost like a checklist. Okay, what are we keeping from the Zack Snyderverse? What are we keeping? Are we keeping Shazam? Are we keeping the Justice Society? Like what is going to endure going forward, and what is wiped away, a la Superman, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying. I think there's new life to Shazam, and I think there's definitely the open possibility that there'll be another sequel, that there'll be another Shazam film.
You think so? I don't know.
Look, why would James Gunn? I mean, look, that post-credit scene, completely James Gunn. Why would they include that? They could easily cut that out, shot something else. And again, maybe he was supposed to die in this movie, and that maybe they realized they could do more with the character, and so they brought him back to life. I'll admit, bringing Gal Gadot into that is a quite, kind of maybe throws that theory out the window, but it just seems like that there's legs still to this franchise, at least in James Gunn's mind at the moment.
If they
box office will say otherwise.
If they killed off Shazam, the third movie would be called Shazam versus Black Adam: Dawn of Justice Society. Seriously.
Yeah.
That's what they could have called it. But those are kind of the big spoilers. Yeah. What can you say? There is, I mean, this could be considered a spoiler scene where they kind of come out to their parents that they're superheroes, and they all collectively say, "We're superheroes." And then Pedro says, "I'm gay." I thought that was funny, because they're coming out to their parents, revealing the secret of why the house keeps getting hit by lightning. Let's go to your comments and questions here. Got some super chats. Ken Bogus for 5 says, so basically the ending was a reverse Sleeping Beauty. Does she give him a kiss? Teehee. Not really. Not really. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about it. It is kind of a reverse Sleeping Beauty. So there you go. Mike Wait for 5 says, is there a safe wait, what?
Is there safe parking for the Attack of the Doc premiere at the theater? Cannot wait till next month. Yeah, there's a parking structure behind the theater that you can
yes, you gotta use this thing called Google. It'll tell you everything you need to know. It's great. You can you can do Google Street View and actually go down the street of where the Frida Cinema is. Yeah, right. There's a parking structure right in the back.
That whole neighborhood is a business.
Thank
neighborhood.
You for that.
It's a business neighborhood, and also it's in Orange County, and it's not in LA.
I was gonna say, like, there is a reason that I chose this theater to screen the movie, Attack of the Doc, because it's not in LA. And a lot of people are coming in from out of town, and I'm like, I don't want to have them go to LA where you've got like LA is not safe. Let's just say that. LA is not safe. But Mike, you will be in great shape, and I will meet you. Cannot wait till next month. Yep, April 21st. I'll talk about that later, but thank you for that. Let's see. C Mexican show for $137.50. Is that pesos? The ending made me want to have a refund.
Gosh, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I'll take
it's not like I could type in that symbol.
Yeah. But the ending made me want to have a refund, says C Mexican Show. Chicken Little Syndrome says, if Gunn really thinks people care about Waller, he's nuts. His Peacemaker series and Suicide Squad are forgettable. Well, aren't we getting an Amanda Waller series?
Yep, we are.
Why are we doing this?
I don't know. I mean, it was he announced it. It's in the plan. I think he enjoys that character and feels like there's more to it than that. And he's not going to get John Cena back.
Is John Cena, there's not a Peacemaker season 2 or whatever?
I mean, there could.
Yeah.
But right now he's more worried about Austin Theory than he is about Peacemaker.
What?
He's wrestling Austin Theory at WrestleMania in 2 weeks.
John Cena is.
John Cena is, yeah.
Well, there you go. All right. Brock Samsonite says the gay kid reveal was a little obvious and heavy-handed. We all saw it coming, and it wasn't clever. And if it's not clever, it's annoying because it's time wasting.
Absolutely.
I think it was done that way, as Alan pointed out earlier. I believe it was done that way so that it could be cut, so that it could be easily cut. But it didn't, I don't know. It just didn't bug me as much. It just didn't bug me as much as other things like that. Solomon Thornton says, James Gunn is trying to make Amanda Waller the Nick Fury of the DCU. Bad decision. Yeah. JTP RX says, guess you're right, Alan. I have too much time on my hands. CD Stein 69 says Shazam was never really part of the Snyderverse. Gunn even said he was outside of that and could possibly still be part of DC moving forward. Well, it sounds like he's going to be part of DC moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think if anything, it's the Snyderverse. It's the direct Snyderverse elements that are being dispatched with. I mean, could Gal Gadot still come back as Wonder Woman? Maybe.
I don't know, but Imperfect says Wonder Woman can resurrect me anytime.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. So, all right. Well, look, I think I really think, and I watched some other reviews from people I follow on YouTube, and I think the main takeaway from the reviews I watch is there's serious superhero fatigue, and these are from YouTubers that really like superhero stuff. I saw John Campea, I saw Drunk 3PO, and a bunch of others, sort of the early out of the theater review, and there is sort of a serious lack of enthusiasm. Let's just say that.
See, again, I don't think it's superhero fatigue. I think it's mediocre movie fatigue. And it's just no one knows how to make a superhero film anymore. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, they don't know how to make a superhero film without messaging, without checking off boxes. It is a little tiresome. It's like with any trope, it just gets tired when you always do the same thing. And I think audiences want to move on. The other thing is, I think for normies, it's like, I can't keep up. Like at a certain point, like I love certain runs of comic books but if it gets so super convoluted, I check out. Like, I don't want to have to know all this stuff in order for a story to work. And I think that the problem is that a lot of these stories can be burdened by legacy. So it is.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, if you keep making mediocre movies, you're only hurting the potential of a great one,
right,
coming down the line.
Solomon Thornton says superhero fatigue only exists because of the poor storytelling and not taking risks. Great movies took risks, such as Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Back to the Future. By the way, it's funny looking at those. It's at the time that those movies came out, at the time that those original movies came out, Star Wars, Raiders, and Back to the Future, those movies were all original IP. They were all original, not based on a book, not based on a property, not a reboot, a requel, a sequel, a prequel, whatever. All of those, Star Wars, Raiders, Back to the Future, when they came out, were original. What does that say about what the heck is happening It's crazy. I am De Brown for 10 says, what is your take on David Sandberg as a director? The director of Shazam, I thought he was fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
with what he had.
With what he had and what he had to do, he was perfectly capable. I don't know that. I thought he was fine. I think the thing that was weak was the script more than anything. I mean, he told the story. And what's weird is you look at a movie like Shazam Fury of the Gods, it looked like it cost about the same as Ant-Man, which is reportedly cost like over $200 million. So I think David Sandberg is fine. Is there something I should know? Did he say something stupid in the press? Because that seems to happen all the time.
Yeah. You know, I mean, yeah. Shazam is mediocre, but it's not fundamentally bad or horrible.
Yeah.
You know, Ant-Man had problems, had serious problems.
Daniel for a 199 pound super sticker. Thank you for that. Airsoft 123 says Joker was the only thing that took a risk, and look how that turned out for them. Yeah, Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie
and box office too.
For sure.
For a rated R movie, it made a lot of money.
Joker was the only thing that took a risk, and look how that turned out for them. Risks are good. Iron Man 1 was a huge risk for Marvel. And at the time, the first Iron Man was put out by Paramount at the time. So there you go. Let's go to your non-Shazam related questions here. We may end up pivoting, Alan. We may pivot.
Film Threat.
All right, more of your comments and questions here. Daniel Abdallah for 10. What are your current must-watch movies of the year? I am definitely going to watch John Wick 4 next week. That is my favorite movie of the year so far. In terms of mainstream theatrical films, John Wick 4 is tops. The other thing is a little indie movie I saw that isn't out yet. It's called Abruptio. And it's a thriller fantasy crime film made with puppets.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm not making that up. It's so good. So that's on my tops for the year, but I don't know, it's been kind of a mixed bag this year so far. I mean, I don't think we're going to get anything really great until the fall. Guardians 3 I think could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
I really do think it could go
I'm pretty optimistic on Guardians 3. I think John Wick has replay value up the wazoo.
Yeah. And that's crazy for a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
Crazy. Omar Sabur for 5 says, I love how in Asian cinema they fuse fantasy with historical events and figures. It makes the story so powerful, like RRR. I just want to point out, I did not say that. This is a super chat I'm reading. People keep bringing up RRR. I'm happy to read those chat comments and questions. So I appreciate that. Yeah, like a friend of mine who had not seen RRR, who had been you're either going to see it or not, finally saw the movie in a theater and just sent me a text message that just said, fuck. And he'd just gotten out of the theater.
So Gary finally saw it then. And
no, it's not Gary, actually, another friend of mine. Dude B, who's a member, says, isn't Abruptio a Harry Potter spell? I don't know that it is. But it's a Abruptio it's a little indie movie. There's a trailer for it online, but it's not a very good trailer. It's like 1 minute. Wait, MK Solid says, Chris is cranky with the chats lately. Am I cranky? Well, first of all, I'm definitely cranky, but I have no problem with the chats. I love the chats. I love the
Yeah, you're barely awake right now.
I'm barely awake is the problem. So I sound cranky, but no. Andrew Munpatit says Alan's shill check is now in the mail after Guardian 3's recommendation. Yeah, you haven't even seen it, Alan.
Yeah. It's still going to be great. It'll be it'll continue the hit parade that is Disney and Marvel Studios. So
Profound Lore Records for 6 says we need Killers of the Flower Moon to come out ASAP. Seeing the state of the MCU, of course, Martin Scorsese was right. No, I agree with you. Martin Scorsese was right. And it's killing the movies because I think we're all hungering for something original or something that's different. Not that the franchises are kind of tired. Even the idea of a connected universe is kind of tired. What are your thoughts, Alan?
No, absolutely. Again, it's just bad storytelling. We will go to the movie theaters all the time if we had something to watch, something worth watching. And, it's like, again, we keep bringing it up here. No risk, no idea of how to tell a good story, no idea how to connect with real audiences. If the movie industry could go back to that, they'd be rolling in cash. The money is there, even in this potential recession that might come anytime. We're still going to go to the movies, and there's still money to be made, and they don't see it.
Aaron Taylor says Sandberg, the director of Shazam, Sandberg is a very good guy, promotes independent filmmaking, and started in horror. Shazam 1 had some horror vibes with the creature design. Sounds like Shazam 2 might have less horror influence. No, you can see it. There's a horror influence in the creature design for sure. But yeah, no, I've heard, yes. Now my memory is refreshed. Yeah, he came from indie film. So I don't know, just indie film to me is if you can survive just making an indie movie, that's something. So Fear the Turtle 21, to Alan's point, I saw Scream 6 last weekend, and I'm still thinking about that subway scene. It stuck with me, and I had a blast with the movie. That's what I want when I'm paying $15 for a ticket. Or what you got to do.
You want to take something home with you from that movie.
Right.
And it's always a memory of something. Wait to see John Wick 4.
Yeah, John Wick 4. As soon as I saw it, I wanted to see it again. Like, you could just play the movie again. That's how good
that overhead gunfight. It just gives me chills. I want to see that again. But I just want to see that.
Well, we'll talk about it next week. We'll talk about it next week, and we'll get into spoilers because I have theories. I think it could be controversial. But I'll suggest this, Fear the Turtle 21. I have the AMC A-list. I probably go to the movies at least twice a week. So I see 8 movies a month for $25. Totally worth it. Because then I'll go see a movie. I'm kind of like, maybe I'll check it out. And then I'll be surprised by something, especially of the non-superhero variety. MK Solid 82 says, will Disney learn a lesson from Willow? The Willow was just canceled. There will not be a season 2. I think I watched like the first 5 or 6 episodes of Willow, and I did not watch the finale. I just didn't care. And I literally I watched like the first episode couple, then I'm like, I'm just going to keep this playing in the background. And then I never finished it. I just lost interest. But there is no season 2 for Willow. What do you think? Look, I think that Disney is not good at learning lessons. Otherwise, they'd be making much more dramatic changes. But Alan, what are your thoughts on the lesson of Willow?
They learned the lesson. They canceled it. Again, I mentioned over Disney won't learn its lesson until it hits them in the pocketbook, and this might be the first indicator of where are you spending your money. How are you stewarding over this money they give you? And
right.
And they just, this was the problem with the subscription model, is because with the subscription model, you get money, but there's no accountability for that money, and so you go out and you make this crap of Willow, and now they're getting hit by it.
Right. Real quick, I just wanted to mention, just a quick aside here, that we have a mailbox, and you can mail us a self-addressed stamped envelope. Send it to Film Threat, 5042 Wilshire Boulevard, PMB 1500, Los Angeles, California, 90036. If you send us a self-addressed stamped envelope, I'll send you back a sticker. And if you send a large envelope with lots of postage on it, maybe I'll throw in a DVD. You never know. I love giving stuff away for free. Last night, actually, it's St. Patrick's Day Eve was yesterday, and I brought a bunch of presents to give away to everyone from our movie meetup group. I just gave everybody presents. It was a lot of fun. But also sometimes people mail us stuff, so I'll get stuff in the mail. And I'm going to put myself full screen for a second here. A really nice letter that I'm going to read. I got a magnet. It's the Dogmatics, a documentary. Okay, this magnet appeared in the mail to me with a very nice letter that just read, short letter here. It says, I want to take the time to thank you for your review of my film, The Dogmatics, a documentary. It is very important for me to hear your opinion. We have proudly posted a link to your evaluation on the Dogmatics website at thedogmatics.com. I have enclosed a promo refrigerator magnet we use to communicate, to commemorate the documentary. Thanks again, Rudy Childs. So it was just nice. I got a magnet in the mail. So thank you. I like magnets. I like magnets. So you can mail us a self-addressed stamped envelope, or if you want to mail us something physical, that is our address. Another quick pivot for a second. Another quick pivot to let you guys know about something. I'm going to share screen here. What am I sharing screen with? Right here. It is tickets to see Attack of the Doc premiere. Normally when they do premieres of movies, you can't get into those. You have to be someone special. Well, the only person you have to be is someone who's got $15. So on Friday, April 21st, we have 2 screenings at 8 p.m. and 10:15 p.m. Based on demand, we may add another screening. We'll see. But it will be the premiere of Attack of the Doc. And then 3 days later, Attack of the Doc will be available on video on demand. It's rolling out little by little on different platforms. Vimeo will be our first platform. It's my personal platform of choice just because of the quality. It's the place where indie filmmakers sell their movies. But there'll be a bunch of people from G4 are going to be there. I know Zach Selwyn's going to be there with his guitar in tow. I will be there. I just got the news that Alan Ng will be he will actually be doing the Q&A for the movie, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah, I was honored by the invitation.
Which just now happened with me talking to you.
Yes.
But you can get tickets right now. So it's at the Frida Cinema in Santa Ana, California. Parking is ample in the parking structure in the back. There are bars and restaurants up that whole strip. There's a bar called Native Sun, which has a rooftop bar. It's going to be a fun night. So join me there. I had something kind of specific to show here.
I love the prequels. I have boobs. Harry Coinslot, harrycoinslot.com.
Okay, that was... You know what that is? I'll tell you exactly what that is. We're working on the Blu-ray for Attack of the Doc, and we need a kind of format. We've got all these unedited interviews. We're including hours and hours and hours worth of unedited interviews and in audio form, and we needed a format, and that's our graphical format. So there you go. But yeah, the tickets are on sale now. I definitely expect the 8:00 show to sell out, which is why we added the 10:15. But it's going to be a fun night. And the Frida Cinema, if you don't know, they've got like they're one of their movie theater that sells drinks. I have to have a movie theater that's safe for people to get to, has ample parking, and also bars and restaurants in walking distance. I had a very specific box checking for what I wanted to have for the premiere. And I also wanted people some people are driving all the way from like Arizona to come to this. Some people are flying in. It's going to be pretty special. So,
by the way, a lot of hotels nearby.
A lot of hotels you need to crash.
It's 15 minutes from John Wayne Airport in case you're flying in.
Exactly. So check it out. The link is in the description of this episode of on YouTube. You can go to thefridacinema.org and check that out. All right, more of your comments and questions. Then I need.
Actually, by the way, do they sell booze at the AMC Burbank?
They do actually.
Okay.
They do. They have the bar. The bar at the AMC movie theaters is called MacGuffins.
Mm.
And they have all these cocktail napkins that have like movie trivia on them. And I always steal a stack of those napkins. And the movie trivia is it's pretty easy, if you ask me. Pretty easy. So, all right. Get your tickets. I will see you there. Alan will be there. I will be there. The people who worked on Attack of the Dock with me, producers and other filmmakers, they will be in attendance, and a bunch of surprise guests. Check it out. All right, let's go to your comments and questions. And I'm going to tell you about the movie you should go see this weekend. Okay. True Alpha MD for 5. The best way to fix movies or the quality of films in 2023 is to fire all the activists pretending to be competent professionals. I would agree with that.
Yeah. Well, you're hearing reports that a lot of these diversity positions are being eliminated at a lot of companies. For some reason, they can't afford it anymore.
Yeah, it's to me. Look. I really think that we need to go back to a merit-based system for everything. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we're going to have some problems, big problems. So we need to, I just think sort of diversity just happens organically. When it's forced, I think it's an issue. So there you go. More. Oh, wow. John Manilang, very generous.
Oh, hey.
40 says, wife and I unfortunately cannot make it to the premiere, but we cannot wait to check it out on VOD next month. And it will be available. It's weird as an indie filmmaker, you can't just, well, if you're a studio, you can say the movie comes out on this date. For indies, it's like Amazon Prime will get to it when they can. So depending on what your platform of choice to purchase the film, whether it's Vudu, Prime Video, or you can buy it on YouTube, it's not going to roll out exactly on April 24th, but the Vimeo version will, which is going to be great. Thank you, John, for that. I appreciate it. Mr. Esquire for 20. Chris, I just received my Film Threat Top Gun shirt. I love it. That's great. Love that. Thank you for that. Best time is now for $4.99. Kung Fu Hot Dog is a fun, undersubscribed channel. Invite him over to join your discussion sometime. All right. We do kind of like meetups with people. We'll have like events where we like bring other YouTubers on. So there you go. Kung Fu Hot Dog. Wait, that's Kung Fu Hot Dog.
Hey, there you go. Hey.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to have to subscribe. Kung Fu Hot Dog for 5 pounds. 80s and 90s were great for films and box office results. Cringe films from Disney/MCU will also affect movie theaters and less audiences attending. I do think it sort of drags it down. Like if you go to the movies and you have a bad experience, it just means like you'll be less likely to engage in that. Daniel Abdallah for 5. Will Kevin Rose and Alex Albrecht be in the premiere? Probably not. That's what you put a smiley face. Probably not. Look, everyone is welcome. Let me just say that. Everyone is welcome. but I do know there are going to be a lot of people from behind the scenes. It's going to be like a mini G4 reunion, and everyone is welcome. You know what? I hope Frosk shows up. I think it'll be great. Frosk should check it out. Dave T. Geek, as I get older, my time becomes much more important than the money. A movie being worth 3 hours of my day is more important than the $15 or whatever. Dave, I agree with you.
Mhm.
So, my movie taste is very eclectic.
But 3 hours. I mean,
Yeah. Brock Samsonite, Disney owed Ron the favor for how he saved them on Solo when their director walked off the project. Well, I don't know if that's exactly the story. Didn't they fire those original directors and then Ron Howard just came in? I don't know. What is that?
Yeah, it was Lord and Miller.
Yeah. So Alan, you're starring comments where there's no context.
I don't even remember starring that one.
That's okay. I love Brock Samsonite. Doesn't matter. Oppenheimer will be another movie coming out soon that I'm interested in. That's not the cookie cutter film, says CD Stein 69. Hell yeah, that one I'm really excited about. So yeah, and Lubitsch touched me, says glad to hear people discovering classic cinema, but man, my tastes do not align with the Marx Brothers.
I love the Marx Brothers.
It's funny. I will say this: I just bought tickets to The Big Lebowski. The Big Lebowski's 25th anniversary is this year. You can see it in theaters. I believe they're showing it on April 16th and April 20th. Oh, April 20th, 420. So you can see The Big Lebowski on 420. I just got a press release from Fathom Events, which for me is like a reminder to just buy tickets. I bought tickets for the 16th because I can't see it on the 20th. I'm going to be busy. But there you go. All right, let's pivot for a second. We're going to pivot. And we're going to, the channel has reached over 69,000 subs. I'm not sure if all of you were here Wednesday for our celebration, but here's the last time you will ever see Alan say those fateful words.
He joins us from Atlanta to discuss the charges, and we welcome you. How did all of this trouble begin?
The last time I was in San Francisco, I got to go to the Walt Disney Museum, and they talk about 69.
Well, let's talk about your tour. When are you leaving?
69.
And where are you going?
69.
We want to thank you for being with us today.
Yeah,
Oh, is there something more you want to say that we...
69.
Thanks for reminding us of that. Every once in a while, we forget. Good luck on your tour. Thanks for being with us. I guess we're going to hear lots more.
69. We're at 600 people, by the way, in the watching us now.
600 people. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Smash that like button. And please subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. We want to get to 169,000. That'll be another milestone. So there you go. But I want to talk about a film that is playing in theaters now that may not be on your radar. It's a film called Champions. It stars Woody Harrelson as an assistant coach for an NBA team in the minor leagues. He's working his way up with a dream to join the NBA in any coaching capacity possible. He has kind of a bad night, goes out drinking, and ends up hitting a cop car, gets a DUI, and his sentence involves him coaching a basketball team with people with mental disabilities. That is kids who have Down syndrome and mental disabilities. He is forced to coach that team. Champions is kind of a classic genre of like a sports movie with, a downtrodden team. It's very much in the vein of like a Bad News Bears. And it's a kind of movie you don't see really being made much anymore. It's made by one of the Fairley brothers. I forget which one.
Is it Peter?
Might have been Peter. And of course, the second time, Woody Harrelson was also in Kingpin. So they've worked together before. And it's everything you kind of want in a sports movie. They're underdogs. They're going for the championship. Will they make it? And interestingly, the entire cast of, these young kids with mental disabilities are all played by people with mental disabilities. So in terms of authenticity, this movie's got it. I have to confess that I have a stepbrother who has Down syndrome. And, what I like about this film is I feel it very accurately portrays the people who have Down syndrome. They're not completely, they're not the way that they've been portrayed in movies previous. I feel like they're, and I like the fact that it's authentically cast and that you get to know all of these characters. Woody Harrelson's, his sort of fatal character flaw is that he just doesn't even care about the real lives of the team he's coaching. It doesn't matter to him. All he cares about is strategy. And what he learns, the lesson he learns as he goes through this journey is that you have to form a personal relationship with your players in order to help them become the best version of themselves. There's a, God, I forget the actress's name, but why am I spacing on her name?
Caitlin Olsen.
What's that?
Caitlin Olsen.
She plays Dee from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, Caitlin Olsen.
She is so good in this movie. She has a sort of a fling with Woody Harrelson's character, which is great. And then oh my God, she is so good in this film. And like their kind of like contentious relationship is hilarious. The other thing is that Woody Harrelson's kind of a loser. He's a complete loser in this movie. He's down on his luck. He's kind of an asshole. He's not super likable. He becomes more likable through coaching these kids, and all the kids have like and they're not all like, they don't all have disabilities that involve Down syndrome. I saw this movie last weekend, just in the afternoon. The screening was packed. I was really surprised, actually. The screening was packed full. I was laughing my ass off the whole time. It's got that kind of tone of like the Bad News Bears. I'm talking about the first Bad News Bears movie in the 70s with Walter Matthau, not the Billy Bob Thornton remake. It's got that vibe. And it's also has sort of a 70s movie realism. It's not all based on like cell phones and this or whatever. It's got a realness to it. It's very heartfelt, and it's, there's a little bit of humor that's raunchy, especially when it comes to the relationship between Woody Harrelson and Caitlin Olsen's character. They have this sort of contentious relationship. So, but I loved this film. I walked out of it like, that's just a solid, good movie. Heartfelt, fun sports movies. And sports movies, there's a lot of things that kind of go where I didn't expect it to go, which is great. And sports movies, what I love about sports movies is you kind of know what's going to happen. You either win or you lose. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes when you lose, you win respect, like Rocky did in the first Rocky. It wasn't about beating Apollo Creed for him. It was about winning respect. And I'm not going to give away what the ending is for this, but it has what all those great sports movies have. There's another really good, and it kind of reminded me of a movie. You've probably not heard of this. You've probably not heard of this film because it's from the 70s. But it's a film about a bicycle race called Breaking Away from 1969.
That's one of my favorite movies.
One of my favorite movies. Dennis Quaid, Daniel Stern, Jackie Earle Haley, Dennis Christopher. I saw that movie probably 10 times in the theater when I was a kid. It played for like a year at like the Dollar Theater. That movie, Breaking Away, the sweet nature of it is so good. Like it had vibes of that. And there's also like,
and the sports in it too is great.
And he has like this cat named Fellini, right? Like it's so funny, Breaking Away. But I was getting sort of Breaking Away vibes because of the sense of realism that's in Champions. And also there's one of the Down syndrome kids characters. Her name is Constantino. And they're like, ooh, Constantino. She's like this badass. It is so funny the way that they play with her, her character. She kind of schools everybody. I just like, I just loved it. She was awesome. So, there was one thing that kind of bugged me about the movie. That I thought it was like a little sort of like I didn't buy it, but it has nothing to do with the sports. But Champions kind of gave me that breaking away. Like, why is this movie so fun? What does it remind me of? And it reminds me of Breaking Away. That like, go for your dream. Underdogs will never get respect. We're going to be teased and made fun of. And I just thought it was awesome. So I cannot recommend Champions enough. It has that. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, they don't even make movies like this anymore. They don't even make movies. There's nothing about it that's particularly woke at all. Woody Harrelson as this character, Marcus, goes through like, he has a character flaw, which not only a character flaw as a person, but as a coach. And through coaching these kids, he is able to work on himself and the kids. And there's there's some other really good payoffs in the film with characters that I thought was great. And these kids are just so charming. You would think it would be cringe. It is not. It is not in the least. So I really love it. If you love sports movies, you have to go check out Champions. Let's see what people are saying in the chat.
Oh, by the way, it was Bobby Farrelly who did it.
Bobby Farrelly. Okay, yeah, Bobby Farrelly did it. My apologies there. Aaron Taylor says Champions is getting a beating up here in Canada. The critics are tearing it apart. Since when do you listen to critics from Canada? Canadian critics. F them.
Yeah, name one good one, really.
Well, that's right. Well, what did Woody do on SNL? Looking forward to a fair review of this movie. This movie is really fun. It's really fun. I want to see it again, actually. I'll probably go see it again this weekend because I saw it with the crowd and there were like kids in the crowd. They loved it.
You convinced me to see it this weekend.
Take your Alan, take your daughter.
Okay.
Whether she wants to go or not, you're her dad. She has to do what you tell her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make her go. She's gonna.
That's the standing rule in this household.
Yeah, and the first half of the movie, there is some sex in this film. I will say this, but it's played very innocently, because there's some sex. There's nothing graphic. It's just Woody Harrelson is involved. Let's say with Caitlin Olsen. So she is so great in this. And I saw it with Eric Weber, and he was saying, like, who is that girl? She's so great. He's never watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. She is so awesome in it. And it's just, I don't know. I just, Aaron, great. It was what Woody Harrelson said on SNL. Some people hold that against him. F it. Beg for mercy. Is this white men can't jump too? No, it's not like that. Zavin says, sounds like the Bad News Bears. It is. It very much is like a Bad News Bears. Imperfect says actual representation. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole point is he's forced to like not just coach his team. It's like a team of people with mental disabilities. He has to coach them, and they all have all the kids have their various issues that they're dealing with outside of basketball in their lives. And Foresight says authentic diversity is greater than tokenism.
This is the lesson the big studios hasn't learned. It's forced diversity versus authentic diversity or organic diversity. We can tell the difference.
Yes. Andrew Monpetit says reminds me of Peanut Butter Falcon meets Bad News Bears. You could that's a fair comparison. Definitely a fair comparison. Well, it's like that movie, the short film that we talked about, An Irish Goodbye.
Yeah.
That it won the Oscar, right?
It did win the Oscar.
It did win the Oscar.
No, it was the Apple Plus one, the horse, the donkey.
No, that's animation. Talking about live action.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, you're right. It did win the Academy Award. Sorry.
Should we check?
Shows you how that night went.
Oh my God.
If you think about these watch parties, you can't actually hear what is going on.
Well, you're juggling a lot. You're trying to pay attention, but you're trying to like be with the audience. You're also trying to look stuff up.
Yeah.
Aaron Taylor says Globe and Mail torched this movie right after Woody's SNL appearance. Woody Harrelson shoots, misses, proceeds to keep shooting and missing. Wrong, by the way, wrong.
Well, just because you have an opinion that doesn't fit the narrative,
by the way,
that means your movie's bad.
I thought it was a great joke. You can't blame Woody Harrelson. A lot of those monologues are written for them or in conjunction with them. They have to put it on. And Lorne Michaels is they famously still use cards, cue cards. They still use cue cards. It's bizarre. But yeah, I thought that Woody Harrelson, his SNL thing was so good. They do this parody of The Whale. Have you seen it?
Oh, I'm trying to remember that one specifically.
Okay. So yeah, watch that episode if you can catch it. But I thought the opening monologue was great. He sort of said something out loud that maybe a lot of people thought. And Woody Harrelson is not like, he's not a lefty. He's not he's
not a righty either.
Not a righty either.
I don't think he'd ever consider himself a Republican.
Not at all. And I like that. I like that he has his own individual opinion. I consider myself that as well. I probably back in the day thought of myself more on the left, but lately, no thanks.
I mean, it'd be amazing how much common ground there is, and yet we can't focus on that at all.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm a centrist, I think, is more the way to be these days. But look, I respect your opinion. So I respect his opinion. But that was written. That was something that was written on, and it was on cue cards. Those are, and you can see. So there's this other sketch that he does, where it's like their production's been shut down. They're making a movie that's kind of like the JTPRX says he is a classical liberal. Yep. There you go. Yeah. But Woody Harrelson plays this. He's in a fat suit, right? He's in this giant fat suit, and they've shut down their production of this movie. And they talk about what they sacrificed to make the movie. And it's like, I gained 400 pounds. They shut down the movie. It's so good. Watch that sketch. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. But there you go.
Paramount Plus. I'm sorry. It's on Peacock, definitely.
Yeah. Rida Ibn Muhammad says, I am a Harrelson fan. I saw Champions. It is a nice Sunday Lifetime movie. Mediocre film, predictable. This is a VHS rental, not a theater movie. I disagree. I think it's a sports movie in the vein of an underdog film, like a Bad News Bears. It felt more like. By the way,
Ridha had a follow-up super chat to that.
Yeah. And Alan, please do not share my earlier comment on Champions. Alan, I feel bad. Chris really likes it, and Chris is awesome. I'm being serious. Hey, Rita, you have a right to your opinion.
Absolutely.
That's fine. I just think, look, I am going to say I am predisposed because of my stepbrother who has Down syndrome. And there was a writer who used to write for Film Threat, Ron Wells, who wrote about a bunch of movies. I don't know, just sort of, they happened to be a bunch, a bunch of movies that had Down syndrome kids. And he called them God's little clowns. They're just, if you know anyone who has Down syndrome, they're just very loving. They're very literal. They're, I don't know, and they're also, my stepbrother's very high functioning. He's kind of like a 14-year-old kid. All right. But he's super high functioning, has a job, goes to work, has his own apartment. And it deals with that in the movie. There's kids who they live in a group home together and they help each other out. It's, I thought it very authentically portrayed people with Down syndrome, and the constant character. She's awesome.
Yeah. In Irish Goodbye, he was running the farm basically.
Yeah. Latino Slant, Paulie says the left now consider me an old school liberal, alt-right. Yeah. Well, that's why we call you alt-right Paulie. Alt-right Paulie from Latino Slant. I love alt-right Paulie. I don't care what people try to label me, because you don't get to label me. And I feel like anyone that tries to put a label on you, no, you don't get labels. I won't accept it. You don't get to call me that. Mm-hmm. And whenever I see people try to use that cis term, I think it's really stupid. It's meant to be it's meant to lessen, when you're a cis white male or any of that bullshit language. One, I don't use that language in everyday speech because nobody does. Nobody talks like that. And it's meant to be diminishing. It's meant to diminish man, woman, all of that.
Yeah.
So the term cis, and it's, to me, it kind of sounds a little bit like sissy, which is a classic bullying term. You're a sissy. So I believe that the roots in that, it's meant to be derogatory.
Yeah.
I do not use those terms.
Well, I mean, it's not a term heterosexuals gave to themselves. It was a term that someone outside of that community gave them. And what would be fun and interesting is if heterosexuals would just say, "Don't call me cis." That's like calling me the N-word.
Yeah, I think it's
there has to be pushback. That my point is, there has to be pushback.
Yeah, I don't use those terms in real life. I don't know anyone who uses those terms in any kind of serious way. I don't know anyone who uses those terms in a serious way. And when you do, you sound like an idiot.
Mhm.
You sound like an idiot. Andrew Monpetit says, Champions is a remake of a 2018 film. Yes, it is. It's a remake of, I believe, a Spanish language film. If I'm correct. Can you look it up, Alan?
Sure.
Look it up. What is the name of the... Alan, we need to find out. Champions is a remake of what film from 2018? Alan, did you find it yet?
Yes.
Is there TNT in the background? Alan.
Yeah, that's Minecraft. Yeah, but no, I have it.
Alan, 10 seconds. Did you find it, Alan?
Yeah.
Alan.
Almost.
All right, what is it?
Okay, it's a movie called Chaperone. Champions. But it is a Spanish film. Champions.
How does Paulie from Latino Slant not load this?
I know.
It's a Spanish film. You got to
He's
see.
Mexican. He's not. This will be fun. He's Mexican. He's not Spanish.
I don't know. Well, it's sort of like when people say white people.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, which white people are we talking about? We're talking about English, Irish, Scottish, German, are Greek people are white people? Like, what kind of white people are you talking about? Italian? I don't know. Like, what? I get annoyed. You know what we should do? Let's just refer to ourselves as beige. I'm just going to say I'm a beige person. Yeah, there should be a website called Beige World. It'll be about all the types of white people.
Yeah. No, I think you're more eggshell white.
Am I more eggshell white? I'm definitely.
Well, you're not eggshell white. You're.
Yeah. Fletcher Williams says he is Mexican.
So he's half Mexican, half Canadian. Is that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Mark Clement says, "Don't say Paul Chato's name 3 times, or he'll appear in the background." I love Chato. He was on our watch party. CD Stein 69 says, "Isn't Breaking Away the one where Dennis Quaid has cancer?" No, that's a different one. He doesn't have cancer. He's basically, it's sort of like, it's about a rivalry between the townies, the people who live in this town. It's a college town, and the college kids. The college kids are very cruel to the locals, who are kind of the blue collar workers of the town. A kind of movie that they wouldn't even make today. We don't want any movie that, that in any way acknowledges working class people or blue collar people. Oh, the other thing I will say that I really enjoyed about this movie Champions, there is, it's not overtly religious, but there is a religious, I don't want to say conflict, but there's like mention of religion. One of the characters happens to be religious, and in their religion, it's a point of conflict in the movie. And I thought, wow, I can't remember a time at all when a movie even acknowledged religion. So that I found very strange. Like, oh, finally some religion is actually being acknowledged. That people are religious in the world. Because a significant number of people are still religious in spite of the fact that church attendance is fallen. Yeah.
No, I was just thinking about this. Might be heretical, but you could remake Breaking Away and set it in Compton.
You could.
Yeah.
You could.
In fact, I mean, because just south of Compton is a full-on cycling ring or cycling arena. I don't know what they call it, cycling track.
Yeah.
But I mean that's yeah, okay. Yeah, I need to write that and then I'll make a lot of money. I think you can do it. I absolutely think.
Fairley Brothers always did representation right, says Goober. Solomon Thornton says, Chris, the way you describe Champions is what superhero movies and other genres should be, and that is passion, or at least authenticity and realism. That was the thing that this is why I like this movie a lot, is it's set in realism, right? They didn't it did get a little tiresome, what is that movie, that Daniel Day-Lewis movie, My Left Foot?
Mm-hmm.
It gets a little tiresome when it's you could really do this better. In fact, there's a woman named Jenny Gold who did a movie about the history of disabilities in cinema. Literally one of the first movies ever made by Thomas Edison was about a guy with no legs who rolled around, and she goes through the entire history of movies. It's called, what is it called? Can you look up Jenny Gold on IMDb? It's called real. It's something like
real. Yeah, I know. You're close.
We reviewed it on Film Thread, but it goes.
I'm sorry, Jenny what?
Jenny, Jenni, and then Gold. Jenny Gold. She's a director. She is also paralyzed from the neck down. She has a special wheelchair. We've interviewed her on the podcast before. She makes it's weird. She'll make a documentary and then make some cheesy exploitation horror movie for fun.
It's a Cinemability.
Cinemability is a really good documentary about the history of disability in film. And it was really fascinating because she goes through from the beginning of cinema and how many times they would hire an able-bodied person to play someone with a disability. And then the times that people with real disabilities actually were in movies. And there's another movie that there's a lot of movies that have done it right, and other ones were just didn't quite work. I would also recommend a movie called Inside Moves. Inside Moves is a movie directed by Richard Donner. It's the movie he directed right after Superman. He had such a bad experience with the Salkinds, the producers of the Superman movies, that he just wanted to make a small indie movie. So he made this movie called Inside Moves, and it's about a bunch of characters who have disabilities. And some are actors who don't have those disabilities, and some actually do have disabilities. And it also involves basketball. So put that on your list. Champions, and then Inside Moves. And it's really interesting because the opening scene in the movie is a character who's struggling with depression, who wants to end themselves. And you know how Superman is you will believe a man can fly. The lead character of Inside Moves goes to this fourth floor of a building and jumps off the building. It's crazy. That's the opening scene of the movie. But he lives and he's disabled from the injury. Really, really great film, Inside Moves. So if you're Inside Moves, directed by Richard Donner, find that movie if you can.
It's on Freevee.
Freevee, really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I have the DVD of it. So yeah. All right. Wait, we already did that one. Here we go. Most recent I can think of is Netflix Daredevil. There you go.
My issue with Daredevil is I didn't understand when he could use his cane or when he didn't use his cane. It just seemed convenient to the story. That's the only really thing that bothered me about Daredevil.
Right. All right. Well, unless we have some other. Deano sent a $1.99 super sticker. But there you go. I want to say thank you to everyone in the chat here today. Love just talking to you a couple times a week. Really enjoy it. We're gonna have a lot to talk about next week. I feel like we always aspire, we're gonna talk about all these things, and then we don't talk about those things. But next week we're going to talk about episode 3 and 4 of The Mandalorian. We're going to talk about Picard Episode 5 came out yesterday. Amazing. So we're going to talk about that. We'll go over like the first half of the season because we're 5 episodes in on Picard, and I want to have a longer conversation about that. So next week we will be catching up on things we didn't get to talk about today. A couple of other indie movies that I want to talk about, including Abruptio. Oh my God. It is. I'm trying to get the director on the show. So I sent out an email to them saying, please, who is available that I can talk to about this? So
okay, I'll see it this weekend.
Yeah, Latino Slant says, why aren't you talking about it now? Mando, that is. Because we do a 2-hour show and it's St. Patrick's Day. I gotta go out. Next week I'll be able to talk about 2 episodes. So there you go. I don't know that it's worth talking about every episode like it matters. Like I was not a fan of episode 3. Did not love it. I guess we can.
I know. I haven't even gotten to episode 2 yet. I will say I am loving Picard.
Okay, well, here's what's gonna. I also want to get Alan's opinion. So, Alan, you have to next week before we start our stream. You got to watch. You got to catch up all the way through episode 4 of The Mandalorian. Okay.
Okay.
And then you and I will talk about it.
Yeah.
And I will
I'll
say
be caught
this,
up with Picard as well.
Yeah, Mando is garbage, says Mega YouTube. Happy Patty's Day, says Crom Lock. And Lord Thaw says, don't leave us. We got to look. You must talk about every single detail at length, says Shucksy.
Oh
we
my
will.
God.
Looking forward to my green
we'll have
beer.
screen. We'll have it. We'll just go screen frame by frame.
Beer Source Rex says, looking forward to my green beer. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So we'll do that. A lot of people, I forgot Mando is on and wait for Picard. Wow, what a pivot. No, we're going to wait until Alan can see everything, and we're going to talk about it next week because I want to go into detail. So there you go. And Spaceman says, today's my birthday. Happy birthday, Spaceman. Happy birthday. Appreciate it. So cool. But you haven't finished your topics. Don't leave, says Andrew Monpetit. Look.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I thought. You want to hear? I'm going to give you my short thought.
Well, for Mando?
On Mando. I'll tell you my short, quick thoughts on The Mandalorian. I don't really care. I feel like the end of season 2 for The Mandalorian, that sort of closed that loop. He completed his mission. He gave the child up for adoption to Luke Skywalker, and that kind of ended the story. And then Disney realized they screwed up, and they decided, the reason people watch the show is because of the child. And then you've got episode 3 of this show where the Mandalorian's just bookended with this whole story. And I don't mind. I thought the story of that scientist was kind of interesting. And we're seeing the seeds of the cloning program, which will lead to the resurrection of the cloned emperor or Snoke or whatever. I just feel like I'm checked out. I'm just kind of checked out on Star Wars. We'll talk about it next week in more detail, but my bottom line opinion is I just am not emotionally invested. And it's disappointing. There was a scene in this past episode 3, where they're in a cave walking around. The set looked so cheap. It looked like something out of the old Land of the Lost from the 70s. That's how bad it looked. Go back and notice it now, Alan. When they're in a cave, it is literally the IKEA chairs. It's the IKEA chairs of The Mandalorian is this cave set that they use.
Yeah, everyone can drink right now.
It's
drink right now.
Terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
it's terrible.
Yeah, you're really
a freaking IKEA chair. This cave that's in this recent episode of The Mandalorian, episode 3, that they're walking in. Look at that cave. That is a cheap Hollywood set. They're walking on a floor in a cave. It's so bad. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, George Lucas would be proud.
dude, it took me out of it because, and then they're overusing the volume. I ran into a director I'm not going to say their name. But ran to a director who he's a fan of Film Threat. He directs commercials and whatnot. And he said we were talking about the volume. He said the problem is people are overusing it. It's made directors lazy, the volume. So when you look at that stuff that was mostly on Coruscant with the doctor rehabilitated, so they're rehabilitating people and reprogramming people from the Empire into the New Republic. Okay. I don't know what that's all about. Are we going to re-educate some other people here in the present day? It seems like it's trying to make a statement about something, but all that stuff was shot in the volume. It looks good until you look at it long. You know, everyone's shot from waist up and they just are against this sort of vast set, but it doesn't even look like they're there. And
okay, so you're saying, so now I understand what you're saying. You're saying that if they're overdoing the idea of making a small space look big. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, and then at the end of the show, there's this scene that's like in a cave, and it just looks like a cheap set. I just feel that like having all these modern tools like CG and volume and all that stuff, it's made filmmakers lazy. And there's a sameness to it, and there's something that's almost emotionally distancing. Because what happens is it doesn't feel like even the people that are acting in that scene, they don't even feel like they're there. It's very distancing. It doesn't feel real. Like this is, I think, part of the problem with Ant-Man 3 is that it just felt like they shot it with the volume. And I'm sort of sick of its overuse. It's gotten irritating, and I'm just kind of over it. So, yeah, I don't know, Alan, what your thoughts are on that, but I do believe, I do believe it's turning in things, it's making things more mediocre. You can't get chairs on a starship correct where they look like they're just this cheap IKEA chair. I'll never not be upset about that. So, all right, we're going to leave it at that. There's a preview of my thoughts for The Mandalorian. I'm just
you're really selling me on the series and making me really excited about seeing the next 3 episodes.
Well, I'll say this: Mega YouTube for $4.99. To its credit, the Mando special effects are somehow a lot better than Quantumania. I will say that the opening scene of episode 3 of The Mandalorian, like there's this TIE fighter, TIE interceptor battle that I thought was very good. Mm-hmm. It was back to old school Star Wars, although it felt like the script was written by AI. They're right behind you, blah, 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 cheeky comment, boop-a-doop, bap-a-deep. It just was like, you know, there can be too much of a good thing is what my point is. But yeah, the special effects in The Mandalorian are better than the Marvel stuff. I think it's better than the Marvel stuff. So anyways, we will have a more detailed, we're going to do the half season of Picard, the first 5 episodes. We're going to go into detail about that. And then we're also going to talk about the first 4 episodes of The Mandalorian because Alan has to catch up.
I mean, Picard, I'm just an episode behind. Mandalorian, I'm like, you know, why are we even talking about this? I'll binge it. I'll binge it. Why is this not growing? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's my feeling. That's my feeling about. I mean, look, I didn't hate.
How would you define exploitation, Alan?
Exploitation? Gratuitous. Gratuitousness. What, I mispronounced something? Did I mispronounce something?
No,
yeah.
It was just
I'm not.
Sorry.
No, the fundamental difference between Picard and Mandalorian is at the end of each episode, I'm excited about the next one. But with Mandalorian, I guess it's like Shazam.
There you go. Well, it's funny too, Alan. Yesterday you joined us in Burbank for
Yes.
our movie meetup group. What was funny was seeing people react to seeing you in person. Like, oh, you're from YouTube.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know how to respond to that. I mean, it's like I'm a real person. I'm allowed to go to Burbank once in a while.
And the one thing I know Alan is very excited about is the fact that we have reached a milestone
69.
1,000 subscribers.
Yes.
So
Thank
there
you
you
to
go.
everyone who subscribed.
Yeah.
You're greatly appreciated.
Well, I will say part of
I mean, where were we at when we first started? Like 20 something? 20.
Well, I think at a certain point we just have to it's just like that's kind of my honest thoughts about Star Wars. No, actually, I did go to Galaxy's Edge years ago in the before times, and I tried the blue milk. And I have that video. Maybe some of you haven't seen it. This sums up my feeling about Star Wars.
Well, okay, I'll give it a try. Oh, no. It's great.
So there you go.
Oh,
All right, we're gonna leave it at that, folks. Thank you so much for spending your Friday. Oh wait, we have some super chats here. Mega YouTube. Oh, we did that. Latino Slant says 69 and nipples.
Oh.
We haven't done the nipples in a while.
Yeah.
We do at a certain point. You gotta we
gotta move on.
So sorry, Paulie. Paulie, are we gonna see you on Thursday for John Wick 4? Join us. I think
he said he's bringing Romy with him.
Oh, that's great. Join us. Get there early. We're getting our big normal table. X Douchey McDouche X says, I hear Alan is 7 feet tall. Alan is a giant in real life. Andrew Monpetit says, wait, Alan's real? And Tucker time, my friend Jeff Tucker. Alan's name starts with A. AI starts with a coincidence. Possibly. But we're going to leave it at that, folks. Have a great St. Patrick's Day weekend. I first of all, I'm really disappointed because I am part Irish. And so, by now I should be kind of 4 Jamesons in. So I'm letting my Irish heritage down. But next week we'll be back. John Wick 4, we'll be talking John Wick 4. We'll be talking John Wick 4 spoilers a week from today. Mando, Picard, other indie films. Talk to you later. And just thank you for all your support. We're growing our audience. Now we're getting 500-600 people watching us live. We really appreciate it. Alan, take us out.
Let's get out of here.